Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to everybody already here in the live chat. Great to see you. Special welcome to all the members of the channel. Thank you so much for your continued support and being here. And a big thank you to the moderators today who are going to help us get this done. We know Nancy's here. Are you Jellen's here? Mama Opal. I think I even saw Dip Me in Glitter there. I think we got everybody there. Thank you for what you guys are doing. If you have a question as we go along, put question in all caps, have your question follow so that we can get to as many of those as possible. Welcome, everybody. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about the Scientology news that has the internet buzzing. We talk about my 35 years in Scientology, leaving with 3 generations of my family, and I do interviews and other collaborations throughout the week. So when you do hit that subscribe button, set the notification bell to all so you get notifications when I go live. And everybody who's over here, who's already here, could you please all head over to that like button and give it a little tap? I would absolutely appreciate that. All right, we are going to jump into it. We have a ton to talk about, including news that is raising more questions, I think, almost than anything. We're going to get to that towards the end. We're going to talk about Aaron at Growing Up in Scientology and his video last night about having a stalker, who's behind it, what's happening, who knows what. We're going to get into it. We're going to look at a take from Down the Rabbit Hole News, what Rabbit is saying about it, what questions she has. We're going to look more at Occupy Blue or Occupy Scientology, the protest happening in Hollywood right now, and some news about another temporary restraining order that came out. And we're going to touch on even more other things. So everybody hold on to your seat. Osa, you might want to stay awake through the whole one because we are going to move through a lot and it's going to happen fast. So hold on to your seat as well. First, let's just talk about a little bit of funny news, which is Tom Cruise getting into the wrong car. This was an article. I don't even know where this was. LB Leaning Britain's Conversation. And they're calling it a bizarre moment when Tom Cruise tries to get into Rishi Sunak's, do you say it that way? Into his car in a London heliport during a mix-up. Now, not that bizarre, but he goes and he kind of tries to get into the wrong car. They must look identical. We'll take a little peek at it here. It's not a big deal. He goes, oh my gosh, that's the wrong car. Big mistake. Get into the other one. Hey, hi y'all. Hey, everybody. Waving. Not that big a deal, but interesting Tom Cruise nonetheless. I mean, I have gotten into the wrong car before. In fact, when I was home visiting in Hawaii, couple years ago, I had my rental car. There was another car. I had left a place getting some shave ice, and I get into my car and I'm looking around going, how did this car get so messy? What happened? Who put McDonald's garbage in my car? I didn't even go to McDonald's. You'd think right away I would have realized, Natalie, you're not in the right car. Did not. In fact, when the 2 gentlemen whose car it was came out and were just standing there by the door looking at me is really what clued me in that was the wrong car. So I'm not going to judge Tom Cruise for almost getting into the wrong car, being that I have done it myself and it went on for much longer than his momentary confusion there did. But I did think it was funny. Let's take a look at a video that was done yesterday with literally SERGE. Oh no, NORA was on there and Fat Grammy was on there. And the video is called Emergency Call to Action, Time to Take Our Power Back. They did such a great job. There's so much info. We're going to take a look at a little clip. In the description of this video, you will find links to all the videos that we talk about so that you can go watch them in full. Because when we touch on it, we're just looking at a tiny little snippet, a little peek, a little look. You know what I'm saying? We're lifting the tablecloth a little bit and looking, but you really want to get in there and get all the info.
So we were locked 24/7 inside of a hotel, not allowed to read or see anything outside of the hotels, brought from another country. And we're being told in these United States that is a very binding contract that underage children are going to be held to account. Right?
For 1 billion years.
Oh, yeah. I never for a second thought that wasn't real when I was a kid, that I was committing myself to that. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Now, see, if we all stand up and we all say, this is unacceptable. You cannot do this. You may not do this. This is not right. This is the FBI. You are not protecting the children of Scientology. They're going to come back with 3 different answers. Yep, you're correct. We're doing what you want. That would be the best, right?
Fantastic video. And I love seeing people come together and collaborating on things like this. Thank you so much. Cooler by the Lake for being a member for 2 months. Aloha, Natalie and Tony. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's go take a look now at PTS for Life. Jeff at PTS for Life had a couple people on. Gabe was on there with him, the SP chef, and they shared some interesting information. We're actually going to look at, I think we're going to look at 2 clips. Are we? Yes, we are. Oh, because it was that good. This was really a good one. Okay, let's pop in here and see what they're talking about.
But he wrote about absolutely everything. He also wrote so-called FOs. These are flag orders.
Now he's talking about L. Ron Hubbard. And in this particular clip, I should set it up a little bit. They were talking about how L. Ron Hubbard has written flag orders, and in the Sea Org is the only place that have what are called flag orders. Regular staff members don't read those, public don't read them. They're only for Sea Org members and Sea Org member training. And it was through a lot of flag orders that L. Ron Hubbard wrote everything like how to wash a car, how to clean windows. And in the Sea organization, you have to follow it to the letter. And then it's often common for people who've read those flag orders to let other people in public know, hey, you're doing it wrong. L. Ron Hubbard said to do it this way. And so Samuel is sharing an experience basically about that.
These are policy written only to be read by the people in the EPF and SERGE members. And he's written I saw around 20 at least, specifically for the kitchen. That he says how things are supposed to happen. I've been trying to find these things because now having done culinary school, having worked in this profession all over the world, well, not all over the world, but all over the place, I would love to look at them again with, professional eyes and sort of review and see how relevant is that, or how does it make any sense at all anymore, and so on and so forth. But yeah, he wrote about absolutely.
Sorry, just to kick in there a little bit. I did that because my profession was a professional window cleaner for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I would never use newspaper and vinegar, even though it may work.
Yeah.
It may be effective, but there's a much better way to do it. And there's a professional way to do it.
It is interesting. I hope that he does that, to go from studying all of the ways that L. Ron Hubbard said to run a kitchen and all those things, and to go to culinary school and learn all of it that way. What are the differences? It will blow your mind the more you learn about how controlling L. Ron Hubbard was. You need to do it this way. That's his preference. Because it's his preference, everyone needs to do it that way. If that alone just does not scream cult, I just don't know what does. Vintage Mama of 3, thank you for gifting 5 Scientology Life After a Cult memberships. Thank you so much. We get to see the chat light up with some added green because their names turn green when they get a membership. Thank you so much for doing that. Now let's look at another clip from that video where the SP chef shares what happened when another Sea Org member got into trouble and was sent to the galley to work under the SP chef, because a lot of people in the Sea organization, when they get in trouble, their punishment is to go work in the galley in the dining room. Now, back in my day, I actually joined the Sea Org and went straight in there by choice. I often joke that I think I'm the only person to ever have done that and not be just busted into that organization from a higher post. I just went in there. It is fascinating in the most horrific of ways how that's used as punishment for Sea Org members who step out of pocket. And he shares an experience like that.
He knew Hubbard. He worked with him. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he was sent down because he didn't met his target. He had a target, he didn't meet it, and he was sent down to do. And he actually was brought. He wasn't just sent, he didn't just go down on his own, which usually would have happened. Usually it would have happened. They would show up and say, "Yeah, I'm here to do some nasty work or whatever." But there was actually somebody accompanying him with him to escort him. And then the guide said to me, you need to give him something really nasty. What have you got that he could do? And then we had 2 large bins where people would throw the food in, but naturally people would miss. So it would just splash on the wall, and the walls were brick. So it was like old bricks. Porous. So it's porous. So it soaks everything up, So they said he needs to basically clean that. So afterwards, the guy
He tells a story. You have to go check out the video, and that is very, very common, not just for Sea Org members. Even Scientology public who are not staff members or Sea Org members have had to do manual labor in that way. Even celebrities. We talked, I think it was yesterday, we touched on a story, one of the Scientologists that Tom Cruise dated, who then left Scientology, because that seems to be a side effect. And the end result of dating or marrying Tom Cruise is that you will leave Scientology. So secretly, it makes me hope that he goes around, if he could just more quickly marry or date a lot of Scientology women so they can be set free. And it'd be beautiful too if by any chance he had it in him to even date some guys so they too can be freed from Scientology, because that seems to be what happens when you date Tom Cruise. All right, let's take a look at Jacob Harkey. Jacob Harkey was outside the courthouse. There's so much going on with the Scientology lawsuit, and I'm glad that Jacob's there, keeping track of things and sharing what he knows. Link down below to his channel as well. Let's pop in and see what he was saying.
And I'm here this morning because there was a hearing scheduled for today in the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center lawsuit. It was scheduled as a case management conference, and it ended up being continued to July 16th. So not too much significant happened today. But there's also a hearing scheduled tomorrow in Valerie Haney's lawsuit against the Church of Scientology. So I did want to take a moment to chat a little bit about each of the cases that have had hearings scheduled for this week and talk a little bit about what's significant in each case. So to give folks a reminder about the case that had a hearing scheduled for today, Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center et al. Is a lawsuit that has been brought forth by the plaintiff Jane Doe. Jane Doe is an ex-Scientologist and ex-Sea Org member who was brought into the Sea Org, which is Scientology's internal clergy. She was brought in as a minor, and she was SA'd by her recruiter while she was a minor. That recruiter's name was Gavin Potter.
Gavin Potter, by the way, still active as a Sea Org member and recruiting people for the Sea Org.
And once
I think he works for the Free Wind as well.
She reported her essay to the Church of Scientology. Scientology then presented Gavin Potter and Jane Doe with an ultimatum. Either they could get married or they could go to Scientology's prison camp known as the RPF. They opted to get married. So Jane Doe now is out of Scientology and is suing the church. Now, this lawsuit was initially brought toward the end of 2022 and was being heard in Judge Robert Broadbelt's courtroom. And there were some interesting developments in the case over the last 7 months or so.
Now, this is the case that we talked about the other day as well, where Valerie Haney has had to undergo Scientology arbitration. So remember, this is a woman who escaped in the trunk of her car to get away from Scientology. Does so, manages to create a life and then bring a lawsuit against Scientology, and then gets ordered to do Scientology arbitration with the people who committed the abuses in the first place. So fantastic update, though. There's some stuff I know happening today. When you have a moment, go check out the whole video because he really does fill in on quite a few things. And I'm so glad that Jacob Harkey is doing that. He is just fabulous. Now, yesterday, I don't know if you guys caught it, I sat down with Phil Jones and we did an interview. He shared some of his story, why he's here on YouTube, what his plans are. Many of you are familiar with his story. He has not heard from his children, Emily and Michael Jones, in about 10 years since they went into the Sea organization and were then made to cut ties with their parents. Phil and his wife, Willie, have worked. They've done so much to raise awareness about the harmful practice of disconnection in Scientology through getting billboards put up that bring media attention to it and an assortment of all kinds of things. Plus, they have been out protesting as well. And Phil is now here on YouTube, which is very exciting because there's so much to their story. I'm just glad that he's here sharing it. Let's take a look at, we're going to take a peek at the interview I did with him yesterday. And he just dropped some bombshells when it comes to David Miscavige and his behavior. Let's take a look.
So anyway, they were in Flag at one point, and she brought this young man by, and
And he's speaking about his daughter, Emily, who fell in love with another SERG member and wanted to marry him.
Really nice young man. We really liked him. I thought, yeah, okay, they're going to get married. Yeah, we hope. And I heard later, who told me this? Oh, yeah, from somebody we know really well who was in there, who was at one of Emily's best friends in her life, who was actually there I think on the ship at the time. Anyway, so what happened was, Emily and this boy wanted to get married. No, I shouldn't say boy. They were adults at the time, and so I guess that Miscavige kept stalling it. No. Anyway, so what happened was that they were at one island one day, and they went off and they got married.
They were at where?
And
one island?
one of the islands, and they were on the free winds at the time. I guess Miscavige liked to go scuba diving, so Emily was always there with him, and she would go scuba diving and stuff like that. So her and this young man got married, and then so Miscavige, I guess, said, well, okay, you might be married there, but you're not going to actually be able to be together until I marry you. And he never did. So in the end, they had to get divorced because he never let them be together.
Was there a reason that David Miscavige gave for not allowing two people to get married?
I have no idea what the reason was, but he's just a crazy man.
Yeah. Just amazing. There were a few, there were so many things in that interview that Phil shared, including that he and his wife have taken care of multiple children who have been basically discarded by Scientology or their parents, including one young girl who at 12 years old, Phil's own daughter, when Emily was 12 years old, brought this girl to their house and asked if she could stay. And they took care of her for a couple of years. And that young lady now has a family of her own. She has a college education. The impact of that is incredible. It's such a domino effect. We also talked about how Phil's family got into Scientology. He was the original first contact. And when you think about these protests today, and when you have protesters and live streamers outside shutting down Scientology recruitment, letting people know about the abusive practices within Scientology, it makes a difference. People get stopped from going in. If Phil had been stopped from going in or had that information back then, you got to look at how many people this would have impacted in a positive way where this might not have happened. There's him. Well, his wife, I don't know for sure if his wife got into Scientology because of him or not, but the two children who are now in the SEER organization cut off from their parents, his sister and his brother as well. It's just that it can affect so many people. So when you see the protesters outside letting people know about the harmful abuses within Scientology, the harmful practices within Scientology, taking back promotional items like is being done in Chicago and all over the place, raising awareness about it. This is what we're trying to prevent, because it's not always that one person. It's that one person, and then it's their spouse, their children, their family, who can all get sucked into Scientology and experience those negative effects. And then that same family is broken up by Scientology. His story is heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's so motivating. And he and his wife are just such caring individuals. And you can see it too when they protest. So please do check out his channel, subscribe. I think he already is. He's done a lot when it comes to exposing Scientology, but just a wonderful man. And his story, as heartbreaking as it is, it's necessary. They've taken care of, he said at one point there were 4 kids at their house who they were taking care of, who had nowhere to go because of Scientology. It's just sickening. It is. So I'm glad that he's here, and I'm glad that he's sharing that message. Now, off in Los Angeles, I don't know if you guys know about Lisa's Day Off. That is the name of her YouTube channel here, was putting up posters. She's been at a couple different Scientology organizations, but we wanted to give her a little shout out. I do believe she's from Portland, and here she is in Los Angeles getting up those flyers using flyer tech.
I wouldn't go there. It's a scam and it's a cult. Go ahead. I wouldn't go there.
Love the flyer too. Children are not adults. and letting people know Scientology is a scam and a cult. Link down below. If you're not already subscribed to her channel, you can check it out as well. It's great to see her around. Like I said, I do believe she's from Portland and has been to a couple different Scientology organizations. Hey, Danny, I see you there in the chat. You're up early. Good to have you here. Danny, if you can talk, we should chat a little bit about what happened. Let's do this, Danny. I've got a lot to get. Well, you know what? Let's see how we're doing on time. We've got a lot of stuff to get through. But if you are able to talk a little bit on your restraining order, Danny, I'm going to send you a link. Go ahead and pop in. And then when I get to it, I'll pull you up. And if you cannot make it, don't worry about that either. It's good to have you here. All right. Did I do that link? Did I put it in there? Yes, I did. All right. Hey, Liz Ferris. Love back at you. Thank you for being here. All right, here we go. Let's go on and take a look at Outside of Big Blue. This is, well, actually, Danny, we're right at your spot right now. This is where Danny gets served a restraining order. Take a look at this. He's there with Leah. They're outside, making some burgers.
I guess I've been served.
This is a temporary restraining order for you from Danny Villa from Bill Campus.
Oh, he's getting served now. I think the video started towards the end.
No way. Who's this?
I don't know. I guess I've been served.
And he was indeed. So let's check in with Danny a little bit and get a couple of Danny, thanks for joining me, being able to jump in. What can you tell us about the temporary restraining order that you received yesterday?
So pretty much a little bit of background. May 9th, that's when the old guy with the scooter attacked me. Yeah. And that's the day I ended up getting arrested for that. After I called the police, and instead of arresting the guy, they arrested me. And they're using that incident for the temporary restraining order. So they're using the scooter guy for the TRO.
So, but where do you have to stay away from?
From the blue building and the AB apartments, which are like across the street, pretty much, like in the same street on Fountain.
Because what is the tie that they're saying why it's the blue buildings? Is it because the scooter guy lives nearby?
It's his church, supposedly. And I've been stalking him, even though he's the one that while I'm recording, I'm streaming, he comes up to us and harasses us, pretty much trying to start problems.
Yeah. So it's pretty much typical, same old, where there's a Scientology operative trying to cause trouble, stir things up, and that's what's being used for your temporary restraining order. So what happens next? Is there a court date?
Yes. June 27, I believe.
Okay.
At 8:30 a.m.
So is it until the court date? Do you have to stay? Is it like how far away from the building are you required to stay?
150 yards. So pretty much a football field and a half.
Oh, wow.
I know. I was surprised as well. But it's all bogus. It's Scientology, fair gaming, if that's what you want to call it.
Well, and trying to, create issues. And I think it's really interesting that too, you look at who these restraining orders are being made against. And especially at the times, like you were there making burgers, feeding the community.
Seriously.
Get out of here. We can't have that. We can't have people coming in and actually feeding people and doing those types of things and creating community. We cannot have that. So when you were there, share a little bit about what the vibe is there. What have things been like? We see clips and we see different live streamers. Are the porta potties still there? Is everything pretty still set up? What's happening?
Yeah, everything's set up. It's a really cool vibe. It's an experience for sure. We have gotten cops caught. They have try calling it an encampment.
Mhm.
So circle, which is the LAPD's, like if there's a new encampment that pops up, LAPD sends circle, which is an organization of like unhoused people to
Yeah.
see if they're doing okay and all that. She
Okay.
was actually pretty surprised of how neat it was.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, Danny, wishing you the best, and we'll keep an eye out. Still, you'll be out there live streaming. We know Leah will, and we'll be following. Thank you for what you're doing, and pop it in with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me in here. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Danny. Talk to you later. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. Hey, DOA, saw you popped in too. We've been trying to connect. So again, I'm going to throw a link in the chat for DOA. Scotty, if you can jump in and join, because we're going to be getting to a couple of your videos. I do believe we're getting to a clip coming up, but if you can pop in, I've got a million questions for you. But let's grab this next clip here. This is MD Media 18. This was a beautiful moment, you guys. There are people who are helping. Well, there are a ton of people who are helping people, finding out what they need. And MD Media 18 went and got some clothes for Greg, where all he had was the clothes that he was wearing, it sounded like. This is so beautiful.
Got you a belt. I got you a belt. So it's black and brown. Ooh. So you can reverse it. I've had one like that. You bring that. Thank you. I got you a belt. Pair of shorts, size 34s. Yep. Yes. Cool. Lightweight. It's summertime. It's gonna get warm. No, yeah, it's really warm. So yeah. Here, look at exactly. But what I'm wearing right now is not all I have. No. Trust me. I had 6 out or 8 outfits and got all my shit taken. Tank top. Yeah. Cool. No wait. Yeah, tank top. Okay, yeah. No shirt. Cool. Thank you, bro. I appreciate this very much. No shirt.
Just so great. So beautiful. Thank you, MD Media 18, and anyone who also helped to make that happen. This is what I'm loving seeing too with these protests, is that when there's somebody that needs something, people will stop what they're doing and go, hey, do you need some water? Like, how can we help you? It's just beautiful to see. It's so contrary and the opposite of what Scientology would do, which would be just hosing those same people down or trying and get them to leave. There's such a contrast there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pop in and have a quick chat with DOA and then continue with the rest of our clips. But there's some updates that we want to do, or I want to get from him, because I have questions and I'm sure you guys too. So I'm going to bring DOA, Defender of Ants, Scotty here to the channel. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm loving the sunglasses with the crown. I like that.
Theater art.
I love it. Now there's so good. There's so much there's just so much. There's so much. So you currently have a temporary restraining order like Danny, but I think you can be a little bit closer to the building. I think yours is a little bit of a shorter distance.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that. I feel like I put in a lot of work, and he is being restrained an extra 50 yards, half a football field, and I'm a little jealous, I have to admit.
Yeah. So you get to get closer.
Yes.
So
one
tell
football
me,
field.
One football field, not a football field and a half.
No.
Can you give us a little bit of an update, just kind of like how things are going? You know, we're all watching the different live streams, and especially yours, and we've been recapping things here on the channel. But can you, just give us a little taste and idea of what's happening?
It's absolutely a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't understand the human element of all the protests and the different personalities and the interactions between all the different streamers. And everyone's always like, oh, it's falling apart, or they see some people having an issue, and I it's just part of a bunch of humans coming together who have a whole bunch of different beliefs in life, both religious, political, and so there's been a lot of growing pains in the relationships we have a lot of very alpha protesters, and there's a reason you have one rooster and 10, 15 hens in the chicken coop, because too many roosters, and it could be real trying. So trying to find middle ground between everybody and all these, there's been a lot of issues with, I'm going to say it, mods.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because I've already hit the notification button. You're doing a live stream tonight, and you've called out, there's a mod who's been a moderator on multiple channels here on SBTV, not a moderator on my channel, a moderator on a lot of channels. And there's been questions and some weird things happening. And I'll be straight up. I have heard from people being kicked out of streamers' chats for saying nothing except hello, but they happen to be other moderators or other creators. And it's definitely set up some red flags for me with this person. And you called it out and you said that, well, why don't you just tell us?
I don't want to say too much, because I just rolled out of bed. I ran out of gas. So here I am. I got 1% on my battery. It's a complete shit show. And I remodded all my mods who Are You Gelling and Turnip Greens. And there's the streaming, the parasocial relationships and the relationships of mods with the creators of the channels that they mod for, as well as other channels that the chat crosses over to and that the mods transfer over to, can create all sorts of like really odd situations. And the mods can have a big influence on the feel of a chat, the vibe of a channel, and the vibe and the direction of the streamer themselves, by deleting people who are whatever. If they have a certain belief, they could mod and delete those people who have a different belief than them. Say if they're just, for example, if someone's a lefty or on the left, a Democrat, and they don't like Republicans, they could mod out all the Republicans, and what happens is you start getting an echo chamber of, say, all Democrats, and that then influences the streamer, because then the people that are there who are supporting him, who are giving him money, are pushing a certain belief, really, and based on that belief, they are going to do that channel, and what content they create is going to go to that area. So specifically in this case, for what's going on, it has caused a fucking shit show.
Yeah. And now, let's watch the F-bombs here. We're a morning show.
Sorry.
I appreciate
it. It has caused just such issues with the management of the group. And right now it is a group, and everyone involved with this, if they want to be involved with it, they have to be part of the group. It's not, what has made this work up to this point is the individualism of everybody and not being a group. But it's become so intense, and there's been so many bad actors and so many different tactics applied to us, that the mods that this mod has created with a bad actor, they've created an atmosphere where they've caused a division now, and it's messing up how things are being run, and creating a lot of high emotions because of those divisions.
Yeah, it can be very,
because things can't flow.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have, when you have, moderators, the vast majority of them do an absolutely amazing job in keeping, watching the trolls, keeping things on task, keeping things on topic, greeting people. It's the idea, it's like to really create a community. And it is also a way that somebody who would want to stir up, some trouble and create issues, it's one of the first things that Scientology would go at and try to put somebody in and establish those relationships, be helpful at first, win over people's trust. But when you put yourself in a position of being on so many different multiple channels, and then the people who question you, now they end up being kicked out of conversations. And I agree with you. And I often say on this channel, it's not about agreeing with what everybody says. You can support the creator or the live streamer or the protester that you choose to, because we get to choose what we put ourselves in front of. We cannot control what other people do, but we can control if we want to watch it or not. And I've been watching this, I've been seeing it in different chats kind of play out, and I've had my own suspicions. So when I saw your notification and about your video that you're doing tonight, I know it's 8 p.m. Central Time, so it must be 6 p.m. your time. So we'll get the full story there on what's happening.
And really, honest to God, this is cause this one mod, no, it's not one mod, it's a group of mods have caused complete chaos in what's going on right now. And so I want everyone to know about this. And for me, I really don't want to be a leader. I want others to be, I love the idea of a round table where everyone has a say, an equal say in everything. But sometimes in certain situations, a leader has to emerge to handle it and to push forward because so much is going on. And to have conversation with 8, 10, 15 people, it's impossible when we're getting followed with restraining orders. The amount of bad actors that have been coming through there has increased by 400%. They're
coming by where the protest is, where all the food is and all of that, coming by there and trying to stir up trouble.
Yes, they're trying to bull bait. There's all sorts of bull baiting going on, and it's bull baiting like every hour. There's like a new bull baiter, even all through the night. And I finally got I think 6 hours of sleep tonight. I finally got some sleep after 4 days of just complete chaos. And it was really this mod coupled with a streamer, and the streamer being Matthew. And I want to talk about, if it's okay, I want to talk about the honking, because the honking was really awesome at first, but then the motorcycle cops came and said, well, you could start having legalities with people honking. When one of the neighbors came by, thankfully, Pinche Becky was able to not yell at the neighbor, was able to have some discourse with her. And she said that the neighbors are trying to come together and do something about the noise. Now, I'm a professional because I've been involved in activism for over 10 years and very tuned into protesting specifically and live streaming. From the very get-go of Occupy Wall Street, when live stream started, Ustream and the first streaming platforms came where you had first-person narrative journalism, and the chat was interactive and was able to ask questions on the scene. And so in Ottawa, Canada, 3-4 years ago now, there was a big occupation. There was a convoy into Ottawa coupled with an occupation. Now the occupation, outside of what the mainstream media was saying, that they were blocking traffic and all this, that was the official story. The reality was that they were not blocking traffic, that they had one lane open for emergency vehicles to go through, and they were honking all the time. Yeah. That was kind of the convoy thing. We just did a convoy, everyone was honking. And that became a problem at night for all the local residents of Ottawa, because horns honking at night there could be harm done to people who have to work without getting any sleep. And the police, they went to court, and the neighbors went to court and got a temporary injunction, emergency injunction on the horn honking, so So the judge put out an order saying that anyone who honks a horn after 10 o'clock is breaking the law, is in contempt of court.
Sure.
And so what that offered an opportunity for one person out of the whole group, whether it be 1 or 1,000 people, even if that person's not part of the group, that one person could blow the horn and make the whole group guilty of contempt. And that's what happened in Ottawa.
So
someone blew a horn.
Precedent that you want to be aware of when out protesting. What a bummer, because I love the honking.
I love the honking, and there's a time and place. The convoy was perfect. It was during the day.
Yeah.
And, but so what has been happening is this bad actor, after talking about the horn thing, has continued to put up the horn signs, continued to have all sorts of issues with all sorts of people, pulled a shovel out of one of the security guards' cart while the police were there. We had a bull baiter come through, and we were doing what Streets says, is just turn your back and don't give them any energy. That person came up behind that person at a 40, right in their blind spot in the car, like a foot away from the door, and just stood there and started saying things to her. Now, in a lot of these restraining orders that we have at La Poubelle, that's the language and verbiage used in the restraining orders, that we followed them to the car, that we were intimidating and harassing them at the car. And that's what this person is specifically doing. And he's drinking in public numerous different times. And I'm not one to judge. I don't care if you're not hurting anybody, I'm not one to judge. So I said nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it was easier to say nothing than to this person's a hothead. I know he's a hothead, and it's going to cause a huge scene. So to avoid the scene, I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And try to be nice. So that was just a couple situations. There's a whole bunch of situations, but this group of mods have been going into the smaller channels, the smaller influencers, and coming in a group of 3 or 4 people and influence those small streamers to make people believe that I'm the issue, or that they're sowing dissent is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you cannot have dissent sowed when it's such right now we're at this fragile point of they're trying so hard to shut us down. Danny getting a restraining order, we all know that scooter guy said in the restraining order that there's no previous arrest, and also said that Danny had a weapon. Mm-hmm. That Danny didn't have a weapon. He wasn't arrested with any pepper spray. We were charged with conspiracy to use tear gas, but again, that wasn't even founded. The DA rejected it. They're using all these, and what they're doing with these restraining orders now are they're going to try to sell to the city that this encampment is bad because there's all these restraining orders. That's what the narrative is going. And so I'm a professional. We got this. I'm not even worried about it. Like everything in that encampment could be stolen and taken, and that won't stop a thing at all. And that's what the people don't understand. And people are coming out of the woodwork to support it because they're watching how crazy everything is. And that's why yesterday I had 2,200 people on my live. Our channels are growing. The channels aren't necessarily growing super fast, but the amount of people who are watching is. And all of us are getting great numbers. And so, so there's been a lot of emotion, and a lot of us are overly tired. Yeah. And so our decision-making skills are handicapped, I guess you would say.
Yeah, challenging. Can I ask you about that? How do you find because it's such an intense situation, because you're not only dealing with the knowledge of knowing what is happening in those blue buildings, the abusive practices within Scientology, there's just so many things going on. How do you kind of like find where you kind of take that downtime or balance that out, or do you, like somebody who's thinking about getting into protesting, it can be very overwhelming, especially when you have situations where there can be drama. Some of it's real, some of it's made up. People have to get whatever information you get and then make your own decisions. But how do you protect your mental health in those situations?
Well, literally, I had like maybe 4 hours of sleep 5 hours of sleep in the last 4 days up till last night. I finally, like 2:30, I pretty much was falling asleep to Pearl Snappy in my ear. And I had talked to Kelly for a second, fell asleep on her, and then woke up, called Pearl Snappy, fell asleep to her. And yesterday night at 4 or 5 in the morning, I've experienced something that I've never experienced. My heart was pounding 1,000 beats a second.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stop moving my feet. I was having a panic attack because I realized that this bad actor was putting all of us in danger. And I was panicked for the safety of my friends and what now I consider my family.
Yeah.
And this, what we're doing here, is unlike any other protest I've ever been in. A lot of the protests I've been are generally pretty safe as long as you stay on the perimeter. We are dealing with a large multi-million-dollar cult,
Mm-hmm.
coupled with a large billions of dollars, millions, I'm assuming billions, with the LAPD, with the corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have two very large groups that are coming together and attacking a very small knit of people and using legal sabotage, basically, of restraining orders and false arrests. I mean, literally, Michael just got out of jail, and 5 minutes later, I'm being charged of thrown into a restraining order. And it's not even, I don't even have an opportunity for a whole month to go and even say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such, the poodle guy was so aggressive to me and attacking me at both times.
What's behind the restraining order with you? That's something I wanted to ask about too.
Yeah.
The poodle guy we're talking about is somebody who had his dog, and then you were barking at the dog, making those woofing sounds on L. Ron Hubbard Way. This was some months ago. Given, doing some bullbaiting, as Scientology calls it. Yeah, February. Yep. And at one point he tries to tie the dog around the tree and he's going to come at you. And he did, and he threatened you.
Yep.
And
criminal threats. Felony criminal threats.
Was that the interaction that this restraining order is based on?
Yeah. And this is what's important, and this is what everybody needs to know.
Okay.
The bad actor is some of the reason why I have the restraining order. Okay. So he specifically, what happened was he walked by me. I was in the little food pantry, and I had an incident with the neighbor where the neighbor was going crazy because the poodle guy told the neighbor that I was harassing him. And so the neighbor was watching. He didn't see the initial interaction, but saw me barking at him. And to him, it looked like I was bull baiting him and just antagonizing him. So he came over all mad at me. And I allowed him to yell at me and tell me I was a horrible person. And after about 20 minutes, I ended up giving him a hug. And I neutralized the situation. But I realized that even though all this psycho stuff had happened with him,
mm-hmm.
that I had to be a better man and rise above it, because people coming in at a different time and a different perspective don't realize the history of what has happened. So they're making their judgment based on what facts he had, and based on the facts that this neighbor had, he was right with what he saw.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was told, it was lining up with what he was told. So I decided I'm taking a different approach. So when he came by, I said, "Hey, is there anything, I don't want there to be issues, man. I wish you the best. If there's anything we could do to remedy the situation, like, I want to remedy this, I don't want this tension." Mm-hmm. And so he just started yelling at me. I'm like, "It's okay. Have a good day." Danny said, "Have a good day." Danny's amazing. I love you, Danny and Leah. Really, you guys are you guys are so just awesome. And right after that, what's his name? Matthew the King starts screaming at him, mm-hmm. like 3 feet away, saying, "Are you the guy who's threatened to kill me 350 different types of ways? F you, like barking at him, like super aggressive." Well, mm-hmm. that's the language that was used in the restraining order, that I sent people after him. And so I gave him my t-shirt. I'm giving people t-shirts who are showing up for support. So now I have this guy who's kind of in the group but not, wearing my t-shirt, it looks like I have pushed him onto this poodle guy. And so that's how that, like, those, and it might not seem like it might seem like a very little thing. Oh, he's just yelling. But when you couple it together with all sorts of other events, that person becomes a bad actor. And truthfully, I'm impressed with Osa. I'm impressed with, and I'm not, and that's speculation. I'm not 100% sure if that's a Scientologist thing, or if this person is just a liability just in general.
Sure.
But I was impressed in how subtle it was. And even like the first time I saw him, he had his sign down by the intersection around Hubbard Way and Fountain. And a Scientologist came and ripped off the sign and put it in the pickup truck. Now, I never had seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
They've never come and like drown and put it into their personal property. And he ran over there screaming like a psychopath, like full speed, ripped that out, and then started ripping out other stuff in the back of that truck. So he started stealing things out of that truck. And so when you add all those together, the first time's an accident, the second time's a coincidence, the third time it's a fact. And when you have 10, 15 different incidents, and thank you, Saul Goodman out in Sacramento, he went out to, Matthew the King went out to Sacramento and told, and was there like kind of bull baiting the police. All right. And this is when Michael got arrested. He was bull baiting the police. Come out here. I'll fucking kill you. Oh, I'll kill you. And all this, and Streets, told him 2 or 3 times, stop. And then he just gave up on him. He's like, whatever. And thankfully Streets kicked me out of the mindset, because he was also influencing me. And because I was caught up in the moment. Michael's arrested, and you're not thinking, you're caught up in that emotion, right? Yeah. And thankfully Streets had the foresight for me to click over, and then I went into the thing like, no, you stop. And that was really where I kind of started seeing what Matthew was actually doing. But Saul Goodman last night sent me a message and said, hey man, he came here, we were having the interaction with the police. He started like bull baiting him, and I joined in on him. And I fed into his energy, and I now see what you're saying. And my inexperience as a protester didn't allow me to see the bigger picture of what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot going on. So yesterday it was when I woke up, or I slept for like an hour. That was all I was focused on, was getting everyone there in the group to disassociate from him, to make sure the world and everyone watching knew that he's not part of the group in any type of way. And anyone supporting him, mods or anything, are a liability to the safety and the well-being of the group and what we're trying to do, which is to give the voice to the victims of Scientology and really expose what's the real foundation and keystone of the abuse, which is the child auditing. Mm-hmm. And that is the core message of what this occupation is. And the core message of that, the occupation, is and occupying just the public property, the easement. And that messaging has to be very concise and precise. And it's about bringing awareness to the community. And we're bringing awareness to the community by offering community and food and getting to know the neighbors. And so there's been a complete pivot of what we've been doing to what we are doing now. And it's working. And this is real important. I heard Danny, I just caught the very end of what Danny was speaking about, but this is super important for everybody to know of what we've done. We got permission from the mayor's office and the sidewalk division to have those porta potties. Mm-hmm. We went and so we have permission for the month to have those porta potties there. And then 2, an organization called Circle is a department of LAPD that handles the homeless situation. So they came out, they in February, they tried to use that organization to kick me out of my hammock. Right when I first started putting the hammock up, the police called them, said there was a homeless man that needed assistance. They came out. That was, but I'm so grateful that happened, because I was aware of who they were then. I remember that I made a joke about this, what the circle was, and I remembered it. So when I saw the car come up and I saw the word circle in it, I knew instantly what was going on. And she came up and knocked on the tent. She was trying to find who's in the tent, because that's what they do. They walk the street and they talk to the community. And so she came up and she walked up, and Leah, we were having issues with some of the unhoused walking by and people filming them. And so, and everyone was like fighting that, oh, we have a right to be in public. And we've really tried to pivot from that and say, hey, you know, we have a lot of the unhoused coming here. They don't want to be on camera. A lot of neighbors don't want to be on camera. Let's make sure that we're considerate to that. Yes, we have a right to do it, but we don't have to do it. We can turn the camera, not have that, and eliminate that conflict, because the whole goal is to commit community. So there was a conflict right away. We're trying to do 1,000 things, and I'm dealing with the human element of all this, and everyone's right to protest and their freedoms, and not trying as an anarchist, libertarian, sovereign citizen, whatever weird title you want, box you want to put me into. I don't want to tell anyone to do anything, but at the same time, I don't want it to be detrimental and to the safety and well-being of everyone there. And so the solution was to stop the problem, and that was to make a sign that said, keep the sidewalk clear. If the cops, respect the cops until they lie, And so I had Leah make a sign. She made a couple signs. I put it on the thing. Well, when she walked up, she looked at that sign, and she tapped the guy, and she looked at the sign. She looked left. She looked right. And then she tapped on the guy, said, take a picture of that. And there was confusion on her face. And so he took a picture. He looked right, took a picture. He looked left, took a picture. The LAPD told them that there was an encampment and they were blocking the sidewalk. And so when she read that, and I had just swept, I've been a Nazi with the sidewalk, and I literally had gone through with a broom and swept everything, so there was no pedals, so I could walk my barefoot self up and down that little thing like a psychopath, and make sure that sidewalk, that even if a cane was sitting in that sidewalk, that cane got onto the other side of that crack. Mm-hmm. And they were so impressed at how, so her brain was firing. I could see it, that it didn't compute, because she was told a lie. And so she walked down and she saw that we had the battery bank and everything, and all the way down we had the flowers, and then all the water. And Streets had been there the night before, and he actually was like kind of like tearing up and saying, this is what this is. LA's never seen anything like this. This is the way to treat and have community and the homeless, and help the homeless, actually help them. And he's like, this is amazing. And that's what she was feeling. She was seeing that this was how this was, and we're just in the infancy stage, and it's complete chaos right now. And we're becoming this real solid group as we're going through this. So she walked by, and thankfully, it's all about the knowledge and putting out information. And Leah made some trifolds, both in Spanish and English, of Scientology, some of the big hitting points, the talking points. So I handed her some of the trifolds. I just mentioned very lightly. I didn't want to overwhelm her, because sometimes a lot of people want to just blast people with information. I just gave her like a couple talking points, and I didn't push it, because she was there to see the homeless and to see if there was people on the sidewalk. Yeah. And so she was just like, okay. And then this is funny. When I was in Sacramento, I was talking to Chad. I was like, I need a volcano. And someone came with a volcano, and it was overwhelming. What?
I saw the volcano with the aliens on it too. It was great.
Yeah. And so someone sent aliens the other day, and Greg super glued a bunch of green aliens to it, right? So she walked by and she's like, what's this volcano? And I was like, this is why I have the volcano. People don't understand it. And I was like, well, let me tell you about their belief in their creation story. The Galactic Federation they kidnapped these guys, they put them in ice cubes, threw them in the volcano, dropped an atomic bomb, and then you see these little green aliens. I picked up one of the green aliens, pulled it out of the volcano, put it on my body, and I said, those are Thetans. And people have to pay to get those audited and to remove them from their body. And the members prefer younger children, because they are considered more important, because they are younger, and they've come into that position They've come into that position at a young age, so that means that they're more important.
Yeah, and this was
And
to the
so,
woman who work for the city, who was there to check
yeah,
on and help people who are unhoused.
yes.
Okay.
And so when I said that, her demeanor changed. She was like, "Wait, what?" She couldn't believe that that's what that was.
Yeah.
And then so she said, "Thank you, Defender of Vans. Thank you for what you're doing." And she walked away and went in her car. But that's not where it stops. Pinche Becky was there. I grabbed Pinche Becky and I brought her over there and I said, "Talk to her. Let's go and talk to this lady for a second, Pinche Becky." So we walk over there, and before we get to the car, the lady looks over and says, "I know you. You've been around." And Becky's like, "Yeah, no, yeah, I'm all around Skid Row. I am the only independent. I'm the only independent harm reduction specialist in LA. And every other harm reduction specialist, which was a pilot program through the LAPD of how to handle this drug crisis that's happening. And it's through like doing clean needles and fentanyl testing and everything." Now, Greg, who's on the Catman, his wife went into a coma, went into seizures, and they had to do a medical coma.
But DOA, I hate to cut you off, but
it's okay.
We got to do the rest of the show.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm guarding your channel.
Well, we'll have to do a separate video soon to just kind of get more caught up on all of the things that are happening. And we shared a video earlier where Matthew was helping Greg get some clothes, having people help each other that way. So beautiful. And Becky and what she's doing, and especially being a harm reduction specialist, that's something a lot of people don't know. And I'm so glad that you shared that, because it really speaks to, you see her often diffusing situations and trying to help. But I appreciate you taking the time to come on, and I'll catch your live stream tonight, and we will talk to you later. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one, chat. Later.
Yeah. All right. He's doing his live video is sometime tonight. There's a notification. And as usual, take information in, and everybody, you make your own decisions for yourself. Everybody's welcome to believe what they want to and what they do. It's not about telling people how to think or what to think, but here is information. There's lots of it. So we will be keeping track of all of it. And, as usual, make sure you guys email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. We have a few more things that we want to get through here. And another hot topic to discuss. I wanted to show you guys this. Where is it? Let's see. Hold on a second. Nancy, can you do me a favor and throw up in the chat the link to the video for Nance Drew, where she helped save those couple people? Once again, I managed to not have it pulled up here. But if you could throw that up there, I want to look at that. Oh, wait, I got it. I found it. All right. You guys take a look at this. This is in Chicago. And, this is what we talk about. This is so impactful. We talked earlier about my interview with Phil Jones. And as an example of the one person, if you can stop one person from getting into Scientology, you can potentially save an entire family, because that one person often gets other people in their family into Scientology. And Nance Drew had let's just take a look at the video and then we'll chat about it.
Joining your live. Okay, sweet. Carefully, if make it a keynote cop emoji. Yes, right? Yes. Oh, look at him. Does he bring in more people? Sí, es una secta. Te puedo hablar después que salgas. Te hablo de todo porque solo quieren su dinero, ¿ok? Solo quieren su dinero. Solo quieren su dinero. Tenemos, sí, gracias. Hey, can I have that then? Gracias. Thank you. We saved some couple people. Thank God I speak Spanish. But yeah, we stopped them. Someone might want to clip that.
That's incredible. And so handy that she speaks Spanish and did that. But this is something that's happening all over the place, over and over and over again, where people are being prevented, educated, stopped from going into Scientology. If they really want to, they'll do it. But it doesn't, it's just such an amazing impact when you back it up and think how many people, if the protesters were out there, when many of us or our family member that got us in were there in front of Scientology to educate and let people know. But that's an amazing clip. I'm so glad we were able to share it. And thank you, Nance Drew, for doing that. All right, we are going to jump ahead a little bit. There's links down below. A couple of them we're not going to have time to share because I want to make sure we get to the other hot topic today, which is Aaron Smith-Levin of Growing Up in Scientology has come out and shared that he has a stalker. If you've been following Scientology News and SPTV and other streamers here on YouTube who cover different news like that, like Down the Rabbit Hole News, then you kind of know the situation where there's an individual who is a former member of the Aftermath Foundation board, who has a blog, who it's been just coming after Aaron repeatedly. And, you know, in the internet space, in real life and in the internet space, when someone has the more that you grow, the more there's going to be a percentage of people who don't like you and don't like what you're doing and will go at you. That's part of it. When you put yourself out there, we see it outside in the real world as well. All you got to do is turn on the news and look at any political situation. And it's pretty much the same thing until it becomes where you cross this line and it gets really creepy, and there's a different type of behavior that starts to emerge, which really takes it from, I don't like this person, I'm going to troll them, to actual stalking and concerns about, you know, where somebody mentally might be and what level of threat that they could be. And this is a situation that is developing. We're going to take a look at Down the Rabbit Hole News, because she gave her take on this a bit. Yes, I do believe this video was yesterday. So let's take a look at that.
Right? You go into his community, you go and contact folks from the community, much like what Scientology would do to its victims. Right? It's interesting.
Not everyone thinks what Aaron did is okay. That was her entire point of this whole stalker operation, was to find someone who would say, what Aaron did in that video is wrong.
Yeah.
She had to stalk and harass and intimidate and threaten the owner of my jujitsu gym to make her point that someone agrees with me that Aaron was the bad man in that video.
Y'all hear that?
Right.
And
like,
what she doesn't tell you is that she basically threatened this person into saying this. Okay.
Y'all hear that?
Okay. So the next thing I'm now going to show you my messages with John Keller.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what happens then if you did not catch the video? This is the part of the video where Aaron goes into sharing a conversation he had. Well, I should back it up even a little bit more for anybody who does not know. Is Stefani went and contacted his jiu-jitsu gym where he hasn't been for, I believe, over a year, but has continued to pay a membership to support that local business, and he has plans to return. And per the business owner threatened to include him in an article that would paint him in a really bad light if he didn't say certain things about Aaron to fit a narrative. And it's that going in and like contacting the gym owner of where they are, which in my opinion is taking it like that is stalker activity. That is like taking it too far. You're jumping the shark at that point, because where's the actual issue? Is your issue you don't like this human being? Then don't follow him. Don't follow him. Don't show him any support. That goes with anyone. It's just taken a turn here and has been being referred to here on the internet as a Baby Ranger type situation, for those of you who've seen the Netflix show. And there's more to it. We're going to take a look at, this is a clip from the video Aaron did, and oh no, Nora was there with him as well. Let's take a look at this.
Attacking for the last months was inconsistent with like the mission and the values of the Aftermath Foundation. And you go, yeah, but Stefani, that means someone would have had to come to you and tell you that and say, we can't have you continuing to do that while being on the board. Like, but so it's not consistent with her saying they didn't want me to resign. They didn't ask me to resign. Here's how I interpret it. Yes, Stefani, because what they said is, we'd rather have you on the board and stop attacking. But if you're going to keep attacking, that's okay. You just have to leave the board so that just like with Aaron, people can't come running to us and complain about your behavior. So I understand they tried to create distance, but it's still, Everyone knows, Stefani, that if Mike told you to stop, you would stop. So as long as you keep doing it, everyone knows it's okay with Mike. And as long as everyone thinks it's okay with Mike, people are going to direct their attention at the person who actually matters, which isn't you. It's Mike Rinder. Been attacking for the last months, was inconsistent with like the mission and the values of the Aftermath Foundation. And you go, yeah, but Stefani, that means someone would have had to come to you and tell you that and say, we can't have you continuing to do that while being on the board. Like, but so it's not consistent with her saying they didn't want me to resign. They didn't ask me to resign. Here's how I interpret it. Yes, Stefani, because what they said is we'd rather have you on the board and stop attacking. But if you're going to keep attacking, that's okay. You just have to leave the board so that just like with Aaron, people can't come running to us and complain about your behavior. So I understand they tried to create distance, but it's still, everyone knows, Stefani, that if Mike told you to stop, you would stop. So as long as you keep doing it, everyone knows it's okay with Mike. And as long as everyone thinks it's okay with Mike, people are going to direct their attention at the person who actually matters, which isn't you. It's Mike Rinder. All
right, let's grab some questions here. Some questions and comments. Let's get a little bit caught up here. I want to first thank Little Bit of Sunshine. Thank you for becoming a member. Hip hip hooray to you. Same for Bikers Taking Down Scientology. Love that name. Thank you so much. Karen, thank you for being a member for 3 months. We can get the person out of Scientology, but how do we get the Scientology behaviors out of the person? My personal opinion is different forms of therapy. There are, cognitive behavioral therapy, I think, is a phenomenal one. And some of that too is you can have certain things in Scientology, right, that will nurture certain seeds that already exist in a person. Sometimes it's just personality and that's who they are. You can't actually even blame Scientology for it. It's not a matter of taking the Scientology out of the person. It's that the person is who they are. And Scientology just fostered that because Scientology tends to foster negativity and traits in people because it's a cult. You want to keep people isolated. You want to limit information, all of those things. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that, Karen. Hopefully that answers your question. I think with therapy, finding other solutions for day-to-day problems and for people that could be through, for people, it might be another religion. It could be, a different philosophy, self-help, whatever that is, therapy, but finding tools to replace the Scientology ones that you have. If a person doesn't do that or isn't able to that or chooses not to and use those same previous tools in Scientology as a default, at that point, I think this is personality. This is who you are. At least that's my 2 cents. Christian, I want to thank you for gifting 5 Scientology Life After a Cult memberships. Thank you so much for that. All right, I'm going to get caught up here. And Smart Told Broad, I was thankful that Nora joined Aaron as she helped him so much to stabilize emotionally. That's what friends do. She really helped. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. It's tough to talk about, especially if you watch the video, which I recommend you do. It was tough, especially in the beginning where he talks about his brother. Aaron lost his twin brother. And I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. Damn it. All right. I'm sorry. I can't imagine. All right. Give me just a second. I'm going to use my excellent Kleenex that somebody sent me. I appreciate this so much. I'm off the paper towels now and using real Kleenex. All right. So here's the deal. It's something I know that we'll continue to talk about. It's so many of this when there can be, a lot of drama. There can be a lot of disagreements. There's going to be. That's just what happens in real life and on the internet. When you bring a group of people together and some of them who agree or don't disagree, things can get really heated. My advice to all of you is to, keep our eye on the prize, which is exposing Scientology and continuing to bring those abuses to light, continuing to elevate the voices of the victims, of the people who need that help, getting the word out that help does exist. We're capable of doing more than one thing at one time, though. And at the same time, sometimes these things need to be talked about and brought out into the open, and you can make your own decisions on who you want to support or who you want to believe. That is totally fine. It's just a matter of sharing information and, following who you want to follow the channels that you do, all of those things. But no matter what, like I said, our main goal is to expose Scientology and help people who need to leave or have left Scientology, and to stop people from ever getting in it in the first place. It doesn't mean that work stops or doesn't continue, even when there's things going on like Aaron having a stalker and there being issues and questions about certain moderators. That kind of stuff is going to happen. It can happen concurrently. It doesn't stop anything. It doesn't slow anything down, right? It's something that happens when you bring a large group together, especially when there are, groups like within Scientology and other individuals who just for fun like to cause trouble and stir things up, or are unknowingly working on the behalf of the Scientology, or not at all, and they're just somebody who just likes to stir up trouble. Kimberly in Japan, thank you for gifting that membership. I appreciate that. And Personalized by Penny, thank you so much for that super sticker as well. But it is a lot, people. So just keep showing up. We'll keep talking about it. If there's something you guys want to talk about, you want to email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. Thank you to everybody who emails me clips, when you email me links, all of that. Tell me what I'm looking at. It helps us put together the show and all of that here. I have so much appreciation and gratitude for all of you and the other creators. And we're all different and individuals at the end of the day. And with some people, you're going to connect more than other people, and that's all right. That's totally fine. We get to do that here. We get to choose who we support. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you much for being here. We're going to talk again soon. In the meantime, I hope you get out there and have an amazing cult-free day.